Good morning. Y'all ready to get started? Yeah? Okay, perfect. So if you guys, would you be open to having a class from like 3 to 6 one afternoon for around command, where we go through every single portion of it after school gets out? Okay, so when does school get out for y'all?
2 weeks, I think.
2 weeks. So if we did that like the second week in June, would that work? Thursday the 13th of June. We could do like 3 to 6, or we could do, actually that day we could do 1 to 4.
This is remedial command?
This is, we're not going to call it that. We're not going to call it that.
Challenge?
No, we're going to call it a command.
101.
Yeah, command for everyone.
Because some people are much more advanced than some of us who have every day one.
We're gonna do a beginner's class for command is what we'll call it.
Sweet, that's what I want.
Yes, beginner's class for command.
See, we already did some reading of it.
Yeah, it's gonna be. We'll do it from 1 to 3 on June 13th.
You'll put that on the calendar, right?
I'm gonna have Donna put that on the calendar for us. I will email her right now, and I'm gonna put it on my calendar right now, so that I have it on here. June 13th, from 1 to 3.
I think we need 1 to 4.
Okay, that's what I meant. 1 to 4. Sorry, 1 to 4 is what it is going to be.
Thank you.
1 to 4?
Yes,
I thought that was one of those. That was not remedial command.
it's beginner command.
Yeah, because I
So
thought.
Diane, are you in advance to which class?
No, we have a different one.
There's a class below beginner. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I'm in it.
Good morning. You're in the what?
We're in the
Slow learners.
we're in the pre-K.
Come to this class, that's where we're going to congregate.
Yes, we are.
Okay, well we're getting way off. That's okay. We can have fun. Good morning. How are y'all? It's good to see you today. I'm doing great. So, is there anything in particular that you guys have been having issues with that you would like to talk through this morning? There's a couple of things that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about advertising a little bit. But is there anything that anyone has going on in their transactions that you'd like to talk about?
Crazy agents.
Crazy agents. Make sure you enunciate that.
She turned in a seller's leasebacks with 0 deposit, and which is okay, but they're moving. So I emailed her. Said, are they moving themselves? Why they need that? She goes, yeah, everything's upstairs practically. She was just, I've never seen anybody talk like that in my life. I was just reading it, and I said, you might want to reread your text. It is really not very nice. And I wanted to say, but I didn't, we're actually in the driver's seat because we don't have to agree to a lease back at all. It wasn't negotiated.
Yeah.
And she said, I meant for it to be unfriendly.
Nice.
And I said,
This is not an intermediary transaction, right? Okay, good.
and I was just very nice, and I said, well, I'm glad you let me know that, but I choose to take the high road.
Did you specifically say that?
I did.
I love it.
And when we can talk amicably, I will be happy to talk to you. But otherwise, I'm not responding. So she's kind of turned her attitude around a little bit.
I'm
but
sure she did.
she's still just ugly.
Yeah.
And I'm
Okay.
just like, I'm not going there.
Yeah.
Not going there.
I don't blame you. That's
Except you're going to push me, and I'm going to say, you might want to consult with your clients because you're not in the driver's seat. We don't have to agree to anything. And
Yeah.
we don't have to sign the day of closing. And her people need the money to sign on their new home. But you hate to do that.
yeah. Wow.
I had an issue with an agent this morning.
What was your issue, Tammy?
Well, apparently, neither the agent nor the seller read the contract. Imagine that.
Is that a problem?
And it was not an intermediary transaction again, so.
And didn't notice that we had asked for $6,000 back in closing
my
costs, which she
God.
absolutely
Oh,
thought they got a full price offer
When did they make
Wow.
this discovery?
this morning.
Where are you?
It's not executed yet. I had to send it back because they did wet signatures, didn't put the dates on them. Sent it to me like that. If I'd executed it, if it had been,
If they had put the date on
If they
there,
had to put the date on and we'd have executed it.
they had put the date on there and she would have been able to execute it. But because they didn't put the date on there,
the date on what?
day?
the
time
date
of wet
that they
signatures.
signed
Oh,
the
they
contract,
hand-signed.
they hand signed.
They actually hand.
They hand signed.
signed.
If they did an e-sign,
It's done.
it's done.
If it's a real signature, you have to have it there.
You have to have a date on there. Yeah, absolutely.
Every initial, every signature has to be dated.
Well, no, not every initial.
Just where
The
it says
final.
date.
Just the final has to have the initials. Or not the initial. The final has to have the date.
Yeah.
the final signature on whatever page that is doesn't call for a date.
You have to have it. There has to be a date.
Can't you just execute it? Well,
The signature, not the initial.
The signature.
The signature
Yeah, the
line.
signature next to it always says.
Change.
Show me the contract.
It doesn't say date. You're right. However, in order for you to be able to have an executable contract, you must be able to prove the date that the signatures were put on the contract, which is
Well, I
why.
have wet signatures and Mary Fivetech has never called that out.
Well,
Then I'm gonna execute.
She has never, ever called that out.
Is there a place
Yeah.
that says date on the license?
It
If
doesn't-
it doesn't say date, then we don't put it.
okay. Yes.
Dot
You're,
does.
It's in the date it was executed.
hold on.
To the
Hold on.
left
Hold on.
or
Hold on.
the
Hold on.
right,
Hold on.
that's the date.
One
Hey,
person at a time.
let me clarify my stance on the issue.
Good luck.
Thank you. I'm in a room full of attorneys all of a sudden.
We do not practice law.
I'm in a room full of attorneys who do not practice law for a living. Okay, so dot loop is specific and it has the date next to the initials. It has the date next to the signatures. It has the date next to the date and timestamp next to every single thing on the contract. Now, with the contract that has the wet signatures, you could hire an attorney to argue against it. You could hire an attorney to argue for it. I would say that the best way to do it is to actually have the date on there, because then nobody has any questions about when it was signed. Did your clients put a date?
We e-signed.
Yeah, you e-signed, so it had the date on there.
So, I mean, in a court of law, I would think that it had been
I've never
between
heard
the
it.
offer and when we uploaded it to Dotloop or executed it, there were 2 timestamps in between there. And if they signed in between, I mean, you could
So
certainly,
let's get Mary
do a
Fivetech
paper
on the
trail.
phone and ask her.
Well, let's ask
I've
her.
never
let's
heard
Sure.
call Mary.
Let's
Because
call
We
Mary.
need to start putting the date on it, even if it doesn't request it, we need to start teaching it
Have
that
you heard
way.
of that, Patty?
Hmm?
Have you heard of that?
Patty.
I was texting.
Hey, we're all honest in this group. We're on the final signature of the 144. It doesn't call for a date.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Quiet,
If
please.
somebody's doing a wet signature.
Good. Hey, you're on live in risk management. I'm going to put you on the phone, okay?
He's saying we need to, but we're saying it doesn't.
Yeah, just real quick. We got a question for you. I have a stance. They have a stance. We need the third party opinion. So I'm going to put you on speaker, okay? All right.
Don't say whose stance is whose.
I'm not. Yeah. I'm not going to say whose stance is whose. And no, I did not wake her up. She's already awake. She wakes up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to start working. So.
Are you kidding? I'm in your files.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. The
Okay.
contract itself, when it's been signed by both parties, do they need to date the contract for when they signed? On the signature line, do they need to date it?
It does not ask for a date.
It doesn't ask for a date.
It's one of Mary's big pet
Hold on.
peeves.
Should they
So
put a
If
date?
you wet sign it, it's a really good idea.
If you wet sign it, it's a really good idea to put the date.
Absolutely. Because otherwise, how do we know for sure when everybody signed?
Well,
And we've
DocuSign
had
doesn't
some
either.
discrepancies
DocuSign
on
puts
the
a
executed date.
timestamp. DocuSign puts a timestamp next to it, doesn't it?
I don't think so, but you can.
A date and
Uh,
timestamp?
They do. It's actually, it's a signature signature verification. Dotloop also has the same one, but it's up at the very top. But because you're working in the Dotloop system, you also get the date and time stamp next to the signature, the e-signature. DocuSign puts it up at the top, I believe.
Okay, there you go. DocuSign puts it in the top part of it. Dotloop puts it in the bottom next to where the actual signature is.
But,
And they also put the verification up at the very top left-hand corner of the page.
Okay, so we're in a situation right now where one of our agents has a contract that's been signed by all parties.
Okay.
The downside is the seller didn't put the date next to their signature, and it's a wet signature. The buyers are e-signatures, so there is a date next to theirs, and the seller and the seller's agent didn't read the contract and signed off on the contract without the date, agreeing to $6,000 in closing costs. What would you do?
Well, they still signed off on it, and so technically you have an executed contract.
Execute the
because
contract.
All parties have signed. An executed contract is executed as soon as the last parties agree.
Okay, even without the date.
So you have an executed contract. In my book, you have an executed contract, even without an executed date. All parties have signed and agreed.
Go ahead and execute the contract
The only
then.
thing is, though, they can still terminate, but all you're gonna get is the option.
They can't terminate.
They're the seller.
They're the seller.
no, but she could withdraw it.
They just sent me the withdrawal.
Keep in mind that you can write a contract on a napkin.
That's true. Pat.
I suspect
So
that there's
that's
no
what
date
Ava
there.
keeps reminding me when I ask her certain questions. Remember, you could write you can have a binding contract on a napkin
That's true.
as long as all parties have signed.
Pat.
So
I suspect they don't put it in. They
yeah,
haven't asked for a
I'm an
date
absolute
because they
advocate
didn't
for
want
getting
the buyer
wet
and the seller
signature
to
date.
assume that executed
But
contract.
there is nothing on
You
the
don't
form that
date
states
initials.
they have to. Yikes.
Huh?
Hang on. Can you say that one more time, Mary?
Say what part?
The part that you were just talking about. I had two
Oh,
people talking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an advocate for all wet signatures being dated for this very reason. Because how does the buyers and the buyer's agent ever know for sure when that seller signed and know for sure which day is the executed date?
Because I
So,
sent it to you.
you know, the only way to absolutely verify that is e-signature with dates, or on a wet signature, they have to date it.
Okay.
But you are not required to do that. It is not asked for on the form. So you have no way of upholding that. You can ask for it. That's it.
Okay.
It's unfortunate. And I'm an absolute advocate for them adding that back on to that form.
Did it used to be that way? Never been that way?
Oh my gosh. There's a question I can't answer. I don't know for sure.
I never remember it, Mary. As long as I've
200 years.
never.
200 years. Yeah.
But her vote initially was, even
So
if
it's
it's
never
wet,
been there?
It solidifies it.
it still
It's
was
a
a
good idea to do
That
it.
doesn't hurt.
She could have executed it, and
According to Mary, yeah.
And the only date
Yeah.
that you really need, I mean, you could base if they send it to you, based on the date they emailed it to you, I'm sure, but.
Well, and it's the buyer's option that is, you know, that's what we're really working towards when we represent the buyer. We want to make sure that we get all of our days for that option. And we don't want the sellers to not sign it for a couple of days and then all of a sudden sign it, and, you know, we already think that we're under option. And vice versa, and the other way around. So, you know, I mean, it works in all people's favor to make sure that everybody knows when all parties are signing and executing and getting to that title company to have it receipted.
Okay.
And you do need to have an executed date when you take that to the title company to receipt it, please. I can't believe how many receipted contracts we get without an executed date.
A lot.
It's shocking, actually.
Yeah.
Why a title company would accept an unexecuted contract. But I'll tell you why they do is because all parties have signed.
Yeah.
With or without a signing date, it's an executed contract. Without the executed date, it's an executed contract because all parties have signed. So that's really the answer to that question.
Okay.
So Mary, when you get, if the seller sent me a contract with their signatures and there's no date on it, then I would execute it when they sent it to me, the day, whenever I received it, and I would immediately send a copy back I would send it to the title company and to the listing agent, and therefore that to me confirms there's an executed contract and everybody agreed on that,
Right, but we've had some disputes that have come back and said that that's not the correct executed date. And there's no way for you to really know that if you're on the buyer side. Well, so the seller sends it back to you, sends you a copy of it with all parties' signature on it, but how do you know when the seller has actually signed it if they don't date it? You have to take the word of the listing agent.
Well, even if they put a date, you don't know the seller signed it. I mean, you see what I'm saying? I mean, a date doesn't mean the seller signed it.
No, they're just signing it with a date, which to me just kind of solidifies what day they actually signed, so that way the executed date on the contract is going to be valid, and you'll know for sure that that's the executed date. But, if the seller's the last party to sign that, the listing agent is the party that will, or the listing agent is usually the person that executes the contract. They should be entering that date.
Okay. Well, thank you for helping us with that.
You got it.
All right.
And, that a lot of that also helps too when it comes to multiple offers, you guys. It keeps everything above board.
Yeah.
We have to.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mary. We appreciate it.
Hey, you got it.
Bye.
Thanks, Scott.
So
Bye.
basically it's recommended but not required.
Recommended, not required, which is
To put the executed date in.
No.
Date by the.
put the date by the signature.
So I'm still a little bit confused about what she was saying about the execution date, because I do it the way you do it, Diane, that in my
Last
mind,
person.
when the agent puts the date in and executes it and sends it off to
It's
the
executed.
title company, that's execution.
That's correct.
Effective date?
That's the
What about the
effective executed date.
So
Yes.
what Avis
Right.
teaches is the contract is executed when all signatures are in place, all changes have been initialed,
There's two signatures.
the execution date has been filled in, and whoever filled in the execution date notifies the other party.
That's correct.
Okay.
And notification could be through email, it could be through text message, it could be through phone call, ideally all three. So that,
Say if all four signatures are signed and the execution date's not on there, she still considers it an execution.
I don't think so, because that execution field is in bold for some reason.
Yeah, it officiates the contract.
She says she gets them all
Have
the
to
time,
have
but I'm
that.
just wondering what the night one.
she gets them all the time without the executed date filled out. Yeah.
Still considers it an executed contract. She did say that. I don't know.
It's, so,
It is in bold.
What is true?
hold on. Can you clarify the question, Daniel?
She seemed to imply that as long as all four signatures are there and it's DocuSign, there's a date stamp, then she's been working with contracts as those are the executed dates, even though the bold section's not filled in. My experience with Kathy has always been whoever has it last needs to do that. That's what schools.
That's what, yeah, absolutely. Whoever has the contract last and gets the last set of signatures that make it complete, that's who executes the contract. And then you notify the other side that the contract has been executed.
You have to do both.
Yes,
If you don't notify them, option doesn't start yet.
correct. Notification must be
So
provided.
the only addition to what we already know is if it's wet, let's put a signature beside it.
And a date,
A date.
yes.
Date, I mean.
If it's, yeah. If it's got a wet date, put a signature next to it. Yeah. No. What's that?
Well, I had to start all over again to get my license again.
Yeah.
In Texas. And I've got a book on contracts. It was one of the classes that's required. And that's what it said.
Yeah.
So don't you go by what Trek says?
Well, yeah, you have to go by what Trek says. However, if we're 4 weeks into a contract and it's closing tomorrow and nobody executed the contract, yet everyone still closes, we can't prevent the contract from closing. And after it closes, I mean, the dispute would go away as to whether or not they had the option period during that time that they really had, because they've already closed on the property now.
I
think
thought
they're
most title
confusing.
companies stopped it, they got it and it wasn't executed, they, so, well,
They call
we didn't
you.
execute
They
the
call
date.
Yes, most title companies need that. However, where the issue that Mary sees it is, many times people aren't sending the contract to her after it's been sent to the title company and receipted by the title company.
So does
Why? I don't know why people do that.
so does regular
Yeah.
contract law trump Trek's?
Has to.
Federal law always trumps state law.
So, that being said, contract law, I mean, verbally, but you can take it to court.
You can do a contract on a napkin.
Yep.
You can do
Oh,
you can do a contract on a napkin. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just kind of.
Ask for a date.
The problem is, if you don't have an executed date, every time sensitive.
Goes off of that.
Can't be
item
counted.
That's in that contract.
That's
goes
correct.
From that executed.
But what
date.
we're really talking about is not the executed date. It was the signatures and the date next to the
Right,
signatures.
I understand that, but somebody else was asking.
So that's why it's such a benefit. I mean, yeah, it's a pain in the butt sometimes to help people who aren't technologically savvy to do things through .loop or to do things through DocuSign or even zip forms. But it's a benefit because it timestamps it with not only the date, but the hour, the minute, and the seconds that it was timestamped. Which is why now on the receipt page on the contract, it has the date and the time that it was receipted, because of what paragraph 5 says about the earnest money being delivered now. It's basically a race. If you get your earnest money there after 3 days, but the seller has sent in their notice terminating the contract because you didn't have your money there in time, that's why that timestamp needs to be there, so that they can say seller notified buyer that they were terminating at 11:15. Buyer brought in earnest money at 11:20. That's why it's like that.
I don't understand why filling in the execution date is such a problem for people to do.
People remember to do it.
I love that you just said that. No, that's aside from the signatures, that's the most important part of the contract.
We're official.
Yeah.
Well, it's like somebody not reading the contract. Isn't that right before an initial where it says, the closing costs the sellers to pay? Isn't it right, the paragraph right underneath that is that we initial the
Execute,
page?
yes.
So they actually was within 2 inches of that paragraph when they initialed that page.
Yeah, yeah.
This is
Well, that's what
crazy.
Tammy was talking about this morning.
Yeah,
She
that's
said
crazy.
it was literally right above where they initialed it.
Yeah, yeah.
So what does that mean
That's
if they
my-
withdraw it? What does that mean?
So the seller had a right to withdraw it, that's my
Until
question.
you
What was
have
the
an
right?
That's what I'm-
executed.
The right was the fact that it hadn't been,
Effective date had been put in?
the effective date hadn't been put in.
Okay,
And all parties hadn't been notified.
okay.
Which, Tammy, that's on me. I'm sorry for giving you the wrong information.
Well, And they would have only gotten the option, oh no, I keep saying that. Very wrong.
Hey, Scott.
He withdrew. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into a pissing match with this guy because he's
It's not worth
he's
it.
incompetent. It's not worth it for my
No, it's
buyer
not.
to,
Yeah.
things going forward could get real ugly and it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
She's a first time buyer. She needs the closing costs. I don't need to put her through this.
Yeah.
We'll
Another
move on.
thing that I've seen recently is I was talking to Russ yesterday, and on a contract that they had that closed a little while ago. Ryan actually knows the buyers for this property. Russ was the listing agent, and the buyer's agent quit just before the transaction closed.
Quit real
2 days,
estate?
quit the transaction. Said, "Hey, I'm not helping you anymore." Yeah.
They fired the buyer?
So the agent fired the buyer because the agent didn't do their due diligence with the buyer to help them in the way that was necessary. So this buyer was under contract on a home. They planned to open a business in the home where they were going to be training dogs and raising. They were going to be training dogs, right? And doing like a daycare type place. And it's a nice sized property. However, the agent didn't do the due diligence with their client. The client, she quit 2 days before the transaction closed. The transaction closed. The people have they've moved into the house, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've moved into the house. They just found out that they can't do the business
So in
that
the
they had there.
activities section we just talked about,
Yeah.
what was indicated in that contract, residents and animal care.
They put in there that they were going to be running a business.
But
They did.
Out of
not
it.
what type of business?
Correct. So the agent just quit because exactly, and then she quit the contract. The broker fired her, and she ended up going to work for another brokerage here in the Austin area. And so, number one, when you're in a transaction with somebody like that, you have a fiduciary responsibility to help them all the way through the transaction. You can't just quit on them when you're under contract with them. Now, if it was before you go under contract and you guys have some kind of a disagreement and you're not on the same page, you can absolutely say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and terminate our agreement. We no longer have to work with one another. Once you're under contract with that person, you have a responsibility to help them all the way through the transaction. So these people are now in a position where they've purchased a home and they can't do the business that they were going to do in the home, and now they're going to immediately turn around and put their home back on the market. Now,
Yeah, so can't they?
well, luckily for the broker that stepped in, whose agent was whose agent quit and substantially got fired, that broker turned around and said, "Look, this is a big mess. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to relist your house for you. I'm not going to charge you any commissions, and I'm going to eat the commission on the backside." So that broker is willing to do the right, that broker is willing to do the right thing and help them in a huge financial way because her agent screwed up bad.
So wouldn't the
Yeah.
people, the buyers have the responsibility of
Yeah.
looking in the HOA to see if they could actually do that?
I mean, don't they get that
Probably
information?
wasn't an HOA.
It wasn't an
Or deed or
HOA.
whatever, I mean,
Yeah.
there's something, but I mean, don't they
So
get
it's a
that?
deed.
And they have to read through it and.
Yeah.
You
Do a
have the
number of
objection
days
period.
to see if it's gonna.
Yeah, you have the objection period, but that's something that if we know that our people are going to be doing some sort of a business or something like that, we have an obligation to make sure that they're looking at the right documents and that they've gone through it, that we're on ideally we're on the right property to make sure that they want to do it. Because I don't know if y'all know about this or not, but our Round Rock office a few years ago had to purchase a property because there were some people that wanted to there were some people that wanted to build a church. The property had been the property had been sold to this group of people who wanted to do a church, and there was a deed restriction on the property stating that a church couldn't be built there. It was a commercial transaction, so the Round Rock office at that point in time ended up just ponying up and buying a piece of property because the situation needed to be fixed.
But one of the biggest problems, people look at it and it doesn't have an HOA,
Mhm.
and they, like Serenata.
Oh, there's a big one going on in Serenata right
Yeah,
now.
and they think deed restrictions have expired,
That's
and they haven't.
Well, you hear so many people saying, there's no restrictions. There's
Yeah.
restrictions
Different
on
one.
every single piece of property
Right.
in Texas.
Yes. That's why you can never, ever advertise a property as no
You see
restrictions.
it all the time.
Absolutely. If you want to advertise it as limitless opportunities, go for it. But no restrictions? No. What'd you say?
Which means nothing.
Exactly. Limitless opportunities. There's limitless opportunities everywhere. Yeah.
I am so old school real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I like to take the contract to the client. I don't want to do it over the internet. Do I have to?
No, you don't have to. You can
Because
absolutely.
I feel a responsibility. You know, that's one of the largest investments somebody makes in a lifetime.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a big responsibility for us. And that we need to sit down with them and go through the contract word by word with them.
I agree with you, and that should be done at some point in time during the transaction. If you haven't gotten the opportunity to do it way in advance, like your buyer consultation or your listing consultation, and go through it with them like that, maybe you've got somebody who's busy and they have they've got a family and they're taking care of all kinds of things, or maybe you're working with somebody who's out of state. You can go through it with them beforehand. Yeah.
But I do that, I sit down with them and go through it, but I have them sign it.
Yeah.
Because you can on your
So
own
you have a
laptop.
physical contract?
Yes, but
Okay.
then, but you can, on your own laptop, I mean, you can have it where you switch it over to them and they can sign in person.
Correct.
And so that way it's.
I very seldom use.
Pat.
I bring them into the office, use the big screens. The last,
Yeah.
first-time home buyers, they each had their cell phones and had it up, and we went through it with a pointer on the mouse.
Mhm.
We went through every, any questions on this section, any questions on that section?
Yeah.
Because, if you're doing this just on .lu, we're not getting what they call, understanding what they're saying.
Correct. And if you're ever in a position where you need to, where you have questions and you need help and you're sitting there with your clients, we have this amazing app now called Zoom. If you need to schedule an appointment to have me hop in with you on one of your appointments with one of your buyers to explain something that's going on, I did it yesterday for one of our agents up in Bell County. Hopped on Zoom. I was able to sit there with their clients and them as well. They had a couple of questions and we went through it and we answered those questions. I'm happy to do that. Kristen's happy to do that. And I mean, if we need to get more people that we can teach how to do that, we're willing to do that so that you have those answers. Because it is, you're right, it is the biggest investment they're ever going to make in their entire life, normally. And we do need to treat it as such.
I very seldom used any DocuSign or anything when I was in Santa Fe.
Perfect. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and hop into our team meeting. I've got, it is cold in here, yeah. So,
Say that again, Scott, I've never heard it from you.
it's cold in here. All right. I kind of feels nice to me, but all right. There is a video that I'm going to show you that is 10 minutes long, and it's funny. And I'm showing it to you for a purpose because we're going to talk about something very serious afterward that does kind of relate to what's going on in this video here.
It is cold in here.
I'll take care of that right now.
Going through the chain, the company's letters.
People reply to spam emails. I mean, it's odd, isn't it, given the fact that they are preposterous. And they are preposterous. I got your contact from a South African health officer in Ghana. I find that unlikely. I need to move with 1,000 carats of polished diamond. Equally unlikely. Note this transaction is 100% risk-free and does not attract any danger. Commander Corona. It's funny, isn't it? I mean, this is ridiculous, right? And it's funny that anyone would reply to it, but if you think about it, this is actually rather clever. Because by making the scams ridiculous, ideally for the scammer, the only people who are going to reply are the most gullible people. And me. I said, I'm in. Then he told me to email Liberty Law Firm at lawfirm.co.uk, which is an amazing email address. Then he said, send me your phone number. So I gave him the phone number of Goldman Sachs, the bank. I wanted him to think I was rich. I probably shouldn't have done that, because the next email I got said, James Veitch, I'm not sure you are real at all. You gave me phone numbers at a bank, which I called, and they say that you are not real, that they don't know you. They even advised me who are you? I'm an army intelligence. Is that a thing? I didn't know what to say. I said, look, there was never a shred of doubt in my mind that I was dealing with an intelligence. How can I prove to you that I'm real? I mean, how can you prove that you're real? In truth, how can any of us prove that we are real? P.S. What are you sending me? I've forgotten. He said the contents of the consignment is 1,000 carats of rough diamonds worth $7.5 million. You and I will use it for investment in Europe. I said, that's amazing. What are we going to invest in? I'm not much of a stock market player myself, but I've got a strong hunch. Hummus is going to be big. Can I have a picture of the consignment? Well, guys, yes, I can. Boom. Enigma, right? Then he said, send me your ID, passport, driver's license, or any of your valid ID. It was valid at the time. Then he said, you will need to set up an account with our bank and pay the fee. This is quite common, like he has multiple email addresses, he pretends like it's another company. And I thought about it, I thought, okay, I'll do that, and I thought I'd throw something into the mix just to see what he did with it. So I said, look, I'll set up a new account with your bank. There's an offer of a free toaster on at the moment, and I've got my heart set on it. He said, don't worry about getting a toaster. So I'll be able to that. And then he told me to contact this bank. Now the bank is masquerading as Royal Bank of Scotland, right? But what I love is their email address is info@royalbs. Which I think is perfect. And then he said, don't delay, I don't have much days here on earth. I said, when are you leaving home? I have not seen anybody that is more unserious as you are. Even if I die soon, do you have to mock me with it? Just go. I said, dude, I had no idea we were talking about your dad. He said, what were you thinking I was talking about? Am I going to mass? I said, where's Matt? Ooh, is that what the toaster is? He said, sorry, I mean Mars, one of the 9 planets of the solar system. Just think, if he doesn't know, it's going to be a shock. I figured I'm done with this guy. I'm going to send an email to Royal BS, right? So I sent him an email. I said, look, dear Royal Bank of Scotland, I'm writing to you about some bullying Lieutenant Commander who's leaving me and a free toaster you're giving me for opening the account. They got back to me very quickly. They said, please send us the Fed account opening form. And there is no free toaster. Raj Ramesh, head of costume care. I thought these guys are good. Dear costume care. Are you sure? Because I heard I was getting a free gift for opening the account. What sort of costumes do you do? He said, there is no bonanza going on. And that did strike me as an odd choice of word. I think, right, what must have happened is he must have looked at the word competition in his language and found a synonym, which was bonanza. This still struck me as odd. And then he said, and even if there was, conditions would apply. And I'll be honest, that pissed me off. Because you cannot tell me that conditions apply to a competition that I literally just made up. So what I did is I opened up Photoshop, and I took a day, and I sent them something. I made and sent them something. So this is what I said. I said, then how do you explain this? And this is what I sent them. Free toaster with any new account, Toaster Bonanza! And then check it out, guys. No conditions apply. Don't get out of that. And he did. He said, that do not include Royal Bank of Scotland worldwide. I said, what are my options I could do with Newcastle? So we will appreciate it if you do not bring up this gift thing again, because you are getting it. I said, just be clear, you're saying if I bring it up again, I won't get it. If I don't bring it up, I will. Or you're just saying I won't get it at all. Please stop talking of a free toaster. I thought I've almost done it, right? I've almost, because part of me just wants to kind of annoy them almost as much as they annoy us. And I don't know about you, to me, that sounds like a broken man. Do this at home. Do this at home. I mean, don't use your own email address. It's a fake email address, but do this at home, because not only do you have a chance to stop them doing actual damage, but it's also a chance to have fun, to play. That being said, I thought I'd back off a bit. I said, of course, I shan't bring it up again. You have my word. So what we want from you is to do the right things. I said, I've done some research. Please stop being
Okay, so now that we've had a little bit of fun with that, here's what I really want to talk about. Wire fraud. So yeah, he had some fun with the diamonds and stuff like that, but
I can't believe that they continued to correspond with me.
well, yeah, exactly. I mean, they're preying on the gullible, or so they hope, and this guy was clearly going to play into their whole realm of what they're hoping for. Wire fraud is getting very, very dangerous in our industry, and the newest one that I've heard of is this. There are people out there now who are spoofing the payoffs and sending the payoffs directly to the title company, appearing to be the bank that they're supposed to be paying off for the mortgage. And there have been a couple of cases where the title company has now directly sent the entire amount of funds to the incorrect location because they believed it to be the payoff for the mortgage company of the seller's home. So they're getting very, very gutsy with the things that they're doing. And unfortunately, once the money is gone, it's gone. There are some things that they can do where if it's caught within 3 days, sometimes they can get that money back, which is why most of the time they want the payoffs and stuff like that to be done, or the wire transfers to be done 3 days or more before the transaction actually closes so that they can move their money where they need it to. But it's important for us to have these conversations with our clients and inform them of the risks that are out there in regards to wire fraud, because it's a big deal. I don't care if it's $1,000 or if it's $1 million. That's a big financial impact to different people depending on where they're at. I mean, if it's a military family buying their home for the first time and they're banking on that zero down loan through the VA, and they have to wire some closing costs or something like that, and that just goes away, I mean, that sucks for them. If it's the person who's been saving up their entire life to pay for a house in cash, and they wired their money to what they thought was the right place, and now they've just spent $290,000, which happened at another market center in South Texas, that's gone. So we've got to be diligent about having these conversations on the front end with our clients, whether they're the buyer or the seller, and letting them know that it's important to verify the information from a source that they know to be true. You can often be that source for giving them the contact information to the title company because you have relationships with title companies. You know these people, they don't. They do a transaction once every 5 to 7 years on average. You do them every month. So make sure that you're having conversations that really, really, really get to the point of pay attention to these things. Does that make sense? It's kind of a heavy topic, and it's something that it's really, really important that we discuss with our people, because as the transaction becomes more digital, which it will, there's always going to be part of the transaction that becomes more and more digital. If you choose to do things on paper, you can still do that. Get a date. But it will become more digital, and these things are going to happen more frequently. Yet, if you educate your client on the right steps to take, and you yourself make sure that you turn on your two-factor verification in your email, at the very least, do your KW one. I would strongly suggest doing it for any Gmail account that you have, just because that way, if somebody is trying to hack into your Gmail account, you're going to get a notification immediately saying, here's what your access code is. And if you haven't tried to do that, then you know somebody's trying to hack in. So you can go ahead and change your password and not have to worry about it. Any questions about that? Yeah.
What can title companies do, or the federal government step in to do to eliminate this?
The FBI is very involved.
They can add a double, triple zero or something, or some kind of, I don't know, something to that numbering system to where nobody knows what that numbering system is.
Right now the best.
We do it with cash.
Yeah. Right now, I think the best way around it is to talk to your title company and see if they'd be willing to accept a cashier's check.
Then you got to wait 2 weeks for that to go in.
No, not necessarily. Cashier's check, most of the time, they just want it there 24 hours before so that they can verify that it is a valid cashier's check. A regular check, completely different.
We had an agent on the deal said this week they had to wait 2 weeks.
That was for a regular check for earnest money.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's-
earnest money and a regular check. Most of the time, they're going to tell you they're going to hold that money for 10 days.
I took it as a cash.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a cashier's check. Cashier's checks, they normally accept, they'd like for them to be there the day
days,
before,
really.
2 days before, yeah, something like that, so that they can call, verify that the funds are there and that it was a valid check. Now,
Is that still the best way to do?
you got to talk to your title company, because some title companies were afraid of cashier's checks for so long, because cashier's checks used to be the number one thing that was spoofed.
That's pretty easy to
Yeah.
do.
Now, well, if you call and you verify the accounts and stuff like that with the bank that you know is true and actually valid, then you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But before, it used to be that was the number one thing that was spoofed. Now it's the wire fraud that's becoming so much more popular because, frankly, the ease of access, and these people can basically get away from, they're not actually having to do any damage. What happens is it normally falls on the person who is here in the United States, who falls for something like that email scam that says, hey, I've got a big sum of money coming into me, but I can't have it directly come to me. So if you open an account with both of our names on it, I'm going to go ahead and give you $5,000, and then you can go ahead and just wire the rest of that money to me. Now, the person who accepts the $5,000 is usually the one who's going to end up in jail, because they opened an account with somebody and that person's given them $5,000 and your money has just gone to them, and then they forwarded that wire on to someone else.
Do the laundry.
Which is exactly what, which is exactly what happened in Florida with that transaction that we had happen here in our office. Was somebody opened an account for somebody, they fell for a scam like this, and now that money is gone. Yeah.
Any updates?
We
The FBI is still involved.
We're starting to see with some of our overseas ones that have to do wire transfers,
Mhm.
like that the banks are actually taking responsibility. And so the banks are calling out the company and doing the whole transaction and
Yeah.
confirming back and forth, and confirming that that's gonna pay off the right account, and they're calling that bank too. And so the customer's out of the picture because of this problem.
Yeah. Have you all watched the show Blacklist? Have any of you seen that show? I've been watching it lately. I love that show. But I'm thinking that one day there's going to be like a wire fraud episode on that show. It'd be pretty awesome. Anyways, any other things around that? Great. Ryan? I think it's your turn. Oh, no, we talked about wire fraud. Now it's your turn. For people that got their ducks in a row.
Yeah, so, I guess I'm coming up there.
Yeah, come on up.
So I had done this a little bit ago, and the end of the year happened and everything. So I have, each month we're going to do the second Tuesday of the month. I'm going to do little ducks, and they say thanks for having your ducks in a row. These are people that are turning paperwork on time. They're doing all those kinds of things to help Mary and myself out. And then for that month that they are getting that for, there'll be $35 taken off your agent bill, and I'll do it each month. So this month I have two. My first one goes to Joseph Towns.
Way to go, Joseph.
And my second one, she's not here, so I'm going to email her, but it's Vicky Ortego. So just know that I appreciate you guys when you're doing all these kinds of things for me. So thank you.
All right, awesome. So keep your ducks in a row. All right, and then this one right here, the face you make waiting for the appraisal. And we've had, have any of you had any appraisal issues lately? Yeah, so what have you seen?
Well, we're just seeing them that they're not valuing them really close and not using the right square footages and things like that. And they're just playing with the numbers to get them lower. We have one right now that's closed already, and the county's saying it's worth $336,000.
Okay.
And the appraisal came in at 191. Wow.
Oh my heavens.
And that hadn't sold for that since for 3 years. And we did Tide Water, we did everything we could. So we've had about 3 of those in the last 2 months.
There's no, wow,
So
that's
it's going to go down in flight.
that's a huge difference. Wow. Yeah, exactly. That. Yeah.
Exactly.
10,000
Came up with
you can do something about it.
cash to close the deal.
About 100,000.
Wow.
But everybody knew it was a bad appraisal, so we're seeing that up there in the clean corporate area really bad. And the tax problem up there is a real big problem. We're seeing them raising the taxes more than 10% on people that have home sale.
You're like, yes.
I have a question. Somebody asked me about, hey, they raised my taxes more than 10%. I said, well, they're not supposed to. They said, well, they were told that they could not raise it more than 10% on the structure, but on the land they could.
Well,
Have you heard of that?
They're trying to play that little difference of the game right there. What they're doing is they're, doing it on 13%, and then they're not taxing them only for the 10%.
Right.
They're saying the value is higher.
Hey,
Next
So
year-
they're doing-
can you guys see if we can find somebody to come in and talk about
Yeah.
this?
So my appraised value on my home went up over $100,000.
No, about tax
Right.
assessments
Which is
and what they
clearly
can and can't do.
My assessed value will go up 10% and then probably 10% next year and the next and the
Right.
next and the next till we catch up.
Right.
We're gonna find
So it's
somebody.
actually the assessed value can
It's-
only go up 10%.
Yes.
Correct.
And that
Appraised
includes-
values.
and that's the structure and the land.
Yes, but it's 10% plus any additions.
We will find somebody who can come in and talk to us about this so that we know exactly what they are and are not taking into account and how they're factoring all of these numbers. So that way you can go out and have educated conversations with your consumers about it. Yeah.
Also, be careful about telling your clients that they'll lower the value, assessed value to what you paid for the house if you bought it this year.
Yeah.
Because they're changing that game too.
Oh, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're fighting that big time.
Wow.
Bell County's got a new comptroller, and he's pulling every stuff out.
So it's interesting that we're kind of having this conversation right now too, because if we went back and looked at the trends for all of Keller Williams International as a whole, and the volume is staying about the same as what it was this time last year. What does that tell us? Exactly, it's leveling off. Property values are staying about what they were over last year. I'm seeing that here in the Williamson County area as well. Things are gradually up a little bit over where they were last year, but they're not like substantial increases like we saw 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, it is a good thing. Do you guys agree with that?
They're trying to creep up more. I mean, like in Salado, they've increased.
Well,
Yeah, we're still
Outlying
seeing.
areas.
yeah,
continue to creep.
Salado, absolutely. Salado, I believe that Salado is a great investment area. Exactly, because the taxes, you can't beat the tax rate. However, as the growth continues, the tax rate will go up, and not everyone realizes that. But if you're in it for a 5-year plan, and that's where you want to live for the next 5 years before the taxes start creeping up there, it's a good place to invest.
So when you tell a homeowner that just purchased their home last October or whatever, and they have their closing documents, this is a non-disclosure state, and their appraised value comes in $50,000 more than what they paid for it 3 months ago, what do you tell them to do?
Well, you can encourage them to take their closing disclosure with them to have that conversation, and they're going to have somebody there who's like their chief appraiser who's going to argue for the numbers that they came up with, but it's not you get to negotiate basically. And then I just learned this the other day about my father-in-law who went and did this. So the father-in-law I like. He went and did this on his house that he purchased in Sun City. He purchased a house for $330,000 and $322,000, and the assessed value came in at $430,000. The reason why is because he bought it in a condition where it needed to be renovated and things needed to be changed, but they did that so that they could be in that position where the taxes looked a little different because he's now over 65 and he gets to lock it in. So, yeah, a whole nother animal. He went to the tax assessor's office and said, hey, here's my closing disclosure, here's what I paid for the house, and they said, oh, you're going to have to go and sit in front of the board to go through the appeal.
Which has a couple of people from Sun City on it.
Yes, which has a couple of people from Sun City on it, and they and so he was amazed at how quick that process was because he's like, oh, do I have to schedule an appointment, come back there? Like, no, just go sit over there. We'll be with you in like 15 minutes. So it's a fairly quick process, but when he started going through his numbers of what they came up with and how this guy came up with $430,000, he basically, he's kind of a smart ass sometimes, and it worked for him this time because at first they said, all right, well, his number, we can agree that his number is probably not right. We'll go ahead and lower it from $430,000 to $411,000. And Mike's sitting there like, well, okay, thanks, but that's still nowhere near what I came up with. Well, by the end of the thing, he got them down to 380,000. And then they said, if you want to, you can go ahead and further appeal this if you choose to. However, you can only do that if you have additional documentation that supports the number that you have. Well, in his case, he had an appraisal that he didn't bring with him, and it was just dumb luck on himself that he didn't bring his appraisal with him. So he's going to be able to further appeal the decision that they've made for $380,000 with the appraisal, because he has additional information that supports his case for what it should really be at.
What was the appraisal on it?
The appraisal itself was, I think it's 340. Yeah.
Roy has some property, he leases some property in Gerald, well, between, south of Gerald, and the owner of it called Roy the other day and said they've taken off the homestead exemption because Gerald came out and it's in the ETJ, and so they platted that, it's farmland, it's got hay planted on it, and so they took away the ag exemption on that because the city had platted those lots. And he said, okay, so you've platted the lots, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to keep farming the property. And so they went and
yeah,
they got their way, and so they got the homestead, the ag exemption back on it. But I don't know if any, I mean, that was the Gerald
See
City
if they
did
get
that.
away with it.
They are.
Oh yeah. That's right.
well, there's some things right now at the Texas State Legislature that could help with property tax assessments. I'm hoping that they pass. That's just me, though. Y'all make your own decisions on that. Yeah.
I noticed where Avor said, I guess they're in a big battle right now because Realist or someone sold data.
CoreLogic.
Yeah, CoreLogic to Travis County. Did any of that happen with Williamson County? I have not heard of it.
I'm sure it happened with all of them.
Well,
But,
here's
yeah, I mean,
here's the reality. This has been happening since the MLS was a thing.
yeah.
They finally just got caught.
But I meant, have they gotten caught with Williamson County?
No, they haven't. Yet they can go out there and use places like that. You can go on the Redfin website and pull up actual sold data. And the reason why is because the Supreme Court made a decision back in, I think it was 2011, that said that if you don't have a brick and mortar location, that can't prevent you from being able to provide the same service to your clients that people with a brick and mortar location would have. So you can provide that data to a consumer directly through an online portal. So when you go into the Redfin website, or you go into, actually Realty Austin is now doing it as well, you're agreeing to their terms, which states that you are you're creating an account with them, and now you are you have a agency relationship in some way, shape, or form that they're creating through just their real quick, that terms and conditions that no one ever reads and just clicks OK and go on to the next page. It's covered in there. So that's why, that's how, like if you go to the tax office, a lot of times you'll see on their computers when they're looking up the values, that's how they're getting the data. So the fact that Travis County Appraisal District got caught with this and has now been sent a cease and desist letter from the Austin Board of Realtors to no longer use the data that's provided in the MLS, they're going to get the data somewhere else. I mean, it's just a formality. Truthfully, I think the people at the Austin Board of Realtors are just trying to make themselves look good, but yeah. Yeah. So we'll get somebody to come in and talk with us about taxes and how they're factoring all of it. Maybe we can see if we can get somebody from Bell County and from Williamson County, because there's a little bit of a difference in the two. Any other questions about that? All right, what do we got going on in the Market Center? If you aren't making it to to Command Central, yesterday we had a really, really good group of people. We had about, I think it was 13 or 14 people that were out there hanging out with us. We went through a lot of questions, went through a bunch of things that I think added value. What did y'all think?
Yes.
Yeah, good. So yeah, come every Monday at 9:30. And then Round Robin Scripts, it's going to be on Thursday from 12 to 1.
Who's that?
That's just a time where we go and we come up with different objections that we've heard recently, and we share different scripts that we use to overcome them.
Well, it's scenarios. It's,
yeah.
If you come across something you didn't know how to handle it, come and talk about it, and we'll see how we would handle it, or what else we would do. It's not just scripts. It's knowing what's out there.
Yeah. And then like we had talked about before, Bill Jones is going to be coming to join us from 10:30 to noon on June 4th to talk about HOAs. It's a very, very valuable class that he teaches, and that's going to be during the team meeting that we have on June 4th. So it'll be from 10:30 to noon. I didn't correct that.
Can we get CE credit for that?
No, there's no CE credit for that one. If you do need continuing education credit, though, and you haven't taken Legal 1 and Legal 2, you can take that with me on May 24th here in this room. It's going to be a cost of $35 if you need both classes. If you need just one class, so Legal 1, it'll be $20, or Legal 2 will be $20 for that class as well. And you can sign up. I sent a link out last week. I'll resend a link this afternoon with some other things you're going to need to know about that I'm going to go over in a minute. Quantum Leap is going to be on June 6th. That's going to be from 9 to 5 here in this building. Right now, as of right now, it's going to be in this building. Quantum Leap is a class that just helps you to think bigger, and it really works on your mindset around your business and around your entire life. It's my favorite class that I've ever taken that Keller Williams offers. What's that? This guy right here is teaching. Yeah, it's going to be great. And then we'll also... It's going to be the exact same class. Yeah, same class. And then we're going to have Quantum Leap for Teens. That's going to be on July 13th. And it's going to be here in this in this room as well. Cost for that's going to be $35. And this is going to be geared more toward people who are 14 to 24 years old. It's a huge, huge class. And the thing that's so neat about it is it allows them to form relationships with other people in the class. And if you have kids that you want to take this class, it kind of allows you to kind of speak the same language with them as well. So it's a pretty powerful class.
Is there a cost for the kids?
$35.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it'll be $35 for the adult one and $35 for the kid one. The CMA class is going to be May 22nd, and that's going to be here in this room. And then right after that, we're going to do a lease writing class from 11 to 12:30. If you've never written a lease before, this is a great class to come to. Even if you never plan on writing a lease, it's still a good class to come to, because from time to time, you may get those clients who say, you know, I decided I want to go ahead and lease my house, and sometimes it's a nice service to be able to provide to them.
That CMA class, is that going to be
Through the office here.
I mean, but which is going to be through ABLE, or is it going to
We'll do the Austin MLS. Yeah.
It won't be through Command then?
No, it'll be through the Austin MLS. Yeah. That'll be live streamed as well. Yeah. Every single one of these things that I'm talking about right now, with the exception of Quantum Leap, will be live streamed.
See, they got a class tomorrow, so I could just get in Austin, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, if you wanted to come to the one here next week, you could do that. Yeah.
Do you have a printout of all these?
Yeah, you can go to georgetowntraining.com. On the website, georgetowntraining.com, and our calendar's on there, and everything that we're talking about right now is on that. Brenda, did you have a question?
Yes, on the CMA class, what's the hours again?
9 to 10:30.
9 to 10:30.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then right after that, it's the leasing class from 11 to 12:30. And then May 23rd, we're going to have a dot loop class. If you need a refresher on dot loop, or you just need to take a class on dot loop in general, that'll be from 2 to 3 on the 23rd. And then this one right here is something you're going to want to write down and make it to. So our instant offer program is called Texan Offers. It's going to be texanoffers.com. I need you to go and RSVP for this class, because everyone who, if you want to participate in this and you want to utilize this service, you must take a listing presentation class with me to show you the best way to utilize this product, so that at the end of the day, you pick up a listing and you don't just pick up somebody who wants to sell their house quick. Okay?
And this is the class you have to take to qualify?
Correct. This is the class you have to take to qualify. It's going to be from 1 to 3, and I need you to go to texanoffers.eventbrite.com, and I'll send this link out to you again later to RSVP, because I need to make sure this room is big enough.
Okay, it's listed about listing?
This is how to take listings and to have an instant offer program. So what we're doing is Open Door out there right now. This is the Open Door killer is what I'm calling it.
You got your investors and stuff.
Exactly. I will do it again the following week, and we'll probably have this on a weekly basis, but we're launching June 1st. So this one right here would be the first one.
That's just the same day as reorientation for
At Williamson County? Okay. That's understandable. All right, so this one right here, very important class for you to take so that we get it done right. And we'll have advertising things that you can print out and that you can customize to yourself as well, that you can use to advertise this. All right? Any questions? Yes?
And I'm sorry, say that again. That's a tool to use, you can use to get an instant offer?
Yeah, so what we're doing, it's exclusively for our office. And I've put together a group of investors, and Opendoor, there's a company out there right now called Opendoor. What they'll do is you go onto a website, you type in your address, you answer some questions about the condition of your home, and then they'll give you an instant offer they'll give you an offer within 24 hours for what they would be willing to pay for your home. Now, it's on average 8 to 10% below what the market value of the home is. And then they also will do an inspection, and they're going to go for big money in their inspection period as well. On average, it's between $3,600 and $5,600 in repairs that they request. So by the time you're fully done and under contract with them, plus there's an additional fee, by the time you're done and under contract with them and ready to go, you're really at a place where you're at about 15% of the market value of your home is what you've given away. So this is our opportunity, and the reason we're doing it is this. Zillow just did this for 1 month in Phoenix, and they created their own offer platform. In 1 month in Phoenix, Zillow created 20,000 seller leads.
There's an article about it in Realtor Magazine.
Yeah. So we're creating it for here. I think it's also going to be huge in Bell County. The reason why is Opendoor is not in Bell County. In this area, we're going to ride on the coattails of what Opendoor has done, because they've kind of opened this up as an option for people. They've opened the door for this being an option for people. So we're going to have some creative advertising around it as well. Be there for that. Yes.
I have a couple of questions on the Quantum Leap for the young people.
Yeah.
Would it be advantageous for a teenager to come in from out of the area that doesn't really participate in school here and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then on the classes, like the CMA class and the other classes that y'all offer here, like the contracts class, do I have to register, or
You can just come.
Just show up?
Just show up for this. Yeah. Now, this one's a little bit different. We want you to do your RSVP for this, because I need to make sure we have enough space.
Most classes just show up.
Yeah.
Unless there is RSVP and you'll know about it.
Yeah. All right.
A lot of stuff on that day.
There is a couple things going on that day. That's why I'm doing it from 1 to 3 and not earlier in the day.
You got that deal that last all day, that 1 and 2 that last all day.
The what?
The principles 1 and 2 that last all day.
That's a different day. Legal 1 and 2 is on the 24th.
Oh, okay. Shame on me.
It's all good. All right, any questions about that? Perfect. Does anyone have any listing they want to tell us about? Yeah.
I have 3.8 acres in Liberty Hill in Durham Park, 93,730. So raise it up for.
All right.
Horses
Perfect.
allowed. Nice bird.
All right.
How much
I like
did
it.
you say?
93,730.
And 24 cents.
There you go. Mark.
I got 4 acres in Heidenheimer. It's on the outskirts of Temple. Has 2 huge double-wide mobile homes, big shop in the back. It's great for the home-based mechanic or truck driver. I mean, it's a lot of room, a lot of storage buildings. I mean, so.
What's it going to be listed at?
Well, I just took the listing, and it's currently listed at 300.
Okay. Nice. Diane.
I have 5 acres in Wahlberg with a 3,900 square foot home, 600, beautiful home. Metal roof, you can have horses, there are restrictions.
Okay.
Limitless opportunity.
How many acres?
Yes, limitless opportunities.
5 acres,
And it's 3,900 square foot home?
3,900 square foot home.
Wow.
600?
600, and there's about a 400 square foot casita.
Okay.
It's a little different floor plan. It's a 2-bedroom with a study in the main home. with a large media room and only 2 baths.
Okay, that's a huge media room.
Huge media, all the rooms are huge.
Yeah.
All the storage is huge.
Okay. Tom?
209 Sapphire Lane in Gerald. Be on the MLS a week from today, but it's available now. 175,000, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. And if you want to see it, just let me know. It's not on the MLS.
How many square feet?
Yes, I don't remember.
All right. Anyone else? Yeah.
Hey, that one on Heidenheimer, we could possibly split it if we have 2 buyers. I mean, they want to sell everything, but we could split the homes.
Okay.
Make it easier to buy.
Perfect. Any price improvement? Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna
No, you
tell
have.
you about another one.
Yeah, go ahead.
So 1102 East 3rd Street in the next month or so. 225 to 235, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. Currently a rental unit, but they're looking to vacate, so it'd be either a single family or maybe even continue it as a rental property.
In Georgetown.
Okay.
In Georgetown, yeah, right downtown.
Wow, that's awesome.
Good price about that.
Anyone else? Yeah, Kathy.
I have a price improvement.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I have a property in Gerald on a little, I'm sorry, not Gerald, Leander, a little over a half an acre. It's a 1750 square feet, 4-bedroom, chicken coop, outside shed, 2-car garage. Beautiful little piece of property. Property rate right at 2.07.
Wow.
And we just reduced the price from 310 to 300. I would love it if y'all would show it. I'm having a hard time getting anybody to come out there, which is interesting to me with that great price point and tax rate. They're also, it's in the neighborhood that has the dinosaur tracks down by the river. So they have a park that they have exclusive access to that they can go and you can actually see the dinosaurs. So it's kind of a fun little
That's neat.
neighborhood.
Awesome. All right. Anyone else? Yeah, Scott.
223 Toscati in Georgetown Village. We just reduced the price from $295 to $290.
Okay.
2367 square feet, 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 1.5 story, huge bedroom, or can be used as a media room, game room upstairs, 2-car garage.
I'm glad you said that. I've always said test gate, and as soon as you said that, I was like, that's how you say it.
Bring it on.
All right. Anyone else? Yeah.
Oh, I just remembered, and I have a buyer actually that's looking for 5 to 15 acres. Their budget is up to 200,000. And I was on the MLS last night for Bell County, for Salado, Holland, and Rogers. And I'm shocked that there's just not much out there. I mean, so if anybody has some acreage, I mean, that's a pretty big budget.
What price?
200,000. They're looking for 5 to 15 acres. And I found like 6 properties.
Wow. Okay. Any other buyer needs?
With Georgetown?
Oh, buyer needs, yeah.
Yeah, buyer needs.
I've got the same girl that I'll talk about until we find a place. Lady is a single mom, lost her husband in the war, and is a very great person. Yes, I'm tugging at your heartstrings. Under $500,000, prefers a few acres if possible, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, ideal.
Okay.
East of Georgetown.
All right. Any other buyer needs?
I think all of you have one.
Anyone else?
I have a buyer.
Yeah.
They're looking for 2,500 square feet to 3,000, 1 story. Either a 3-bedroom with an office or a 4-bedroom, a room they can use for a media room, and either space to put an in-ground pool or has an in-ground pool. And they don't want to spend more than 400,000.
Okay.
Oh, they found them. They found them out there, but they're very particular.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Well, we don't have a lunch sponsor today because the company that we were going to have as a lunch sponsor, they ran out of money or something like that. I don't know. No, they had a conflict. They weren't able to make it. So have a good day.
So Scott's buying.
See y'all later.
Phone sign up to 12:15.
12:15.